Hey everyone, today we will continue nutrition and metabolism. Today is part 2, which is vitamins and minerals. So just remember that our body needs nutrients. There are two types of nutrients. Major nutrients or macronutrients consist of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. We already discussed these three major nutrients on part 1. Now we are going to the second type of nutrients, which is minor nutrients or micronutrients that consist of vitamins and minerals. So we start with the vitamins. Vitamins are organic compounds. So organic compound, usually we have to take it from organisms like plants and animals. And these organic compounds, because this is micronutrients or minor nutrients, they are required in small amounts for normal metabolic process. There are two types of vitamins, of course. The essential vitamin or nutrient, this is the one that cannot be made or synthesized in our body. Therefore, it has to be taken from diet. And classification of vitamins based on solubility, there are two types. The first one is fat-soluble vitamin, which is vitamin A, D, E, and K. While the other ones are vitamins that soluble in water, consist of vitamin B and C. Okay, this is some fallacies and also facts in regarding vitamins. The fallacy that the more vitamins are better. Okay, the more the better. It is actually not correct. Too much of water-soluble vitamin, okay, like vitamin C, for example, results in excretion of vitamin through urination. Too much of fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin E, it can harm our health. Another fallacy is a varied diet provides all needed vitamins. It is not true. Okay, many people do benefit from vitamin supplements. So actually, vitamin supplement is sometimes is also needed because not all food that we eat contains all the vitamins that we need. Particularly pregnant and breastfeeding women, they need or require some supplements, vitamins. Vitamins provide energy, and this is really, really incorrect because vitamins do not have the energy. It cannot provide energy for us, even though it is organic molecules, but it cannot produce ATP. Okay, so vitamins do not directly supply the energy. They aid in release of energy from carbohydrate, fats, and proteins. Many of them is actually what we call the coenzyme, which is needed for enzyme to perform their work. Okay, we start with the fat-soluble vitamin, which is vitamins that soluble in fat or dissolve in fat, influenced by the same factor that affect lipid absorption. So we also need lipid in our diet in order to absorb this fat-soluble vitamin. Bile salt promote fat-soluble vitamin absorption. So bile salt is also needed for stimulating fat-soluble vitamins absorption. These fat-soluble vitamins store in various tissue, so excess intake led to overdose, which can be harmful to our health. Resistant to the heat, not often destroyed by cooking and or food processing. Include vitamins A, D, E, and K. So there are 4 types of fat-soluble vitamins: A, D, E, and K. We'll look at this characteristic of the vitamin, including the recommended daily allowance, okay, in our diet. Vitamin A exists in several forms, synthesized from carotene. So usually the food that has orange color, like carrot, for example, it has many vitamin A. They are stored in liver, stable in heat, acid, and base, and stable in light. Function, this is an antioxidant, so it is really good to remove the free radicals that sometimes can cause cancer in our body. Necessary for synthesis of visual pigments, mucoproteins, mucopolysaccharides, for normal development of bones and teeth. Okay, so, and also for maintains the epithelial cell. Source and recommended daily intake or allowance for adult. So usually liver, fish, the whole milk, butter, eggs, leafy green vegetables, yellow and orange vegetables, and fruit. It has a lot of vitamin A. The daily recommended allowance is around 600 international unit or IU. Usually if you buy food, sometimes there is ingredients like vitamins that in it, or if you buy the supplements, it will give you this unit. Excess of vitamin A can cause nausea, headache, dizziness, hair loss, and birth defects. Deficiency of vitamin A can cause what we call the night blindness, which is cannot see in a low light condition. Degeneration of epithelial tissue. Okay, vitamin D, a group of steroids resistant to heat, oxidation, acid, bases, usually stored in liver, skin, brain, spleen, and bones. The function is to promote absorption of calcium and phosphorus, promote development of teeth and bone. Remember, calcium and phosphorus are needed by our bones to be strong, and also hardness of the bone. So it is really important for our bone. The source, okay, produced in skin exposed to ultraviolet light. So we also produce vitamin D. It starts from the skin, and the vitamin D actually will be produced in the kidney. It's also present in milk, egg, fish, liver oils, fortified food. Recommended daily allowance around 400 IU. Excess of vitamin D can cause diarrhea, calcification of soft tissue, and renal damage or kidney damage. Deficiency of vitamin D can cause for kids, usually can cause rickettsia or rickets, which is the bow type of bone, okay, bow-shaped bones on the leg or bow-like bone, and also bone decalcifications and weakening. The next one is vitamin E. It's a group of compounds resistant to heat and visible light, unstable in presence of oxygen and ultraviolet light, stored in muscle and adipose tissue. Vitamin E usually functions as an antioxidant, prevent oxidation of vitamin A and polyunsaturated fatty acid, might help maintain stability of cell membrane. The source, oils from cereal seed, salad, oils, margarine, shortening, fruit, nuts, and vegetables. They have a lot of vitamin E. Daily intake recommended is actually only 30 IU. What happens if you take excess vitamin E? It can cause nausea, headache, fatigue, easy bruising, and bleeding. If it is deficiency, okay, usually rare, usually also have uncertain effects. Vitamin K exists in several forms, resistant to heat but destroyed by acid, bases, and light stored in liver. The function is required for synthesis of prothrombin, which is clotting factor. So this is really important for clotting our blood when we are bleeding, which function in blood clotting. Sources usually under leafy green vegetables, egg yolk, pork, liver, soy oil, tomatoes, cauliflower. The daily recommended intake is about 55 to 70 IU. Excess of vitamin K can cause jaundice in formula-fed newborns, and the deficiency can cause prolonged clotting time. So it's not easy to clot the blood when we are bleeding. Okay, the next one, the second type of vitamin is the water-soluble vitamin that consists of vitamin B and vitamin C. Because this is water-soluble, sometimes they are not resistant against heat. So cooking and food processing sometimes destroy this vitamin B and C. Vitamin D are essential for normal cellular metabolism, so they are very important for cellular metabolism. Vitamins B are usually found in the same food, so together they are known also vitamin B complex. Okay, so there are several types of vitamin D and B, and all of them is considered as vitamin B complex. Okay, now the functions, source, and also recommended daily allowance. Vitamin B1 or thiamine, they are destroyed by heat and oxygen, especially in an alkaline environment. Function, part of the coenzyme required for oxidation of carbohydrate, coenzyme required for ribosynthesis. Source, lean meat, liver, eggs, whole grains, cereals, leafy greens, vegetable, and legumes. It has a lot of thiamine or vitamin B1, 1.2 milligram. Recommended allowance. Excess of vitamin B1 can cause vasodilation, which is the widening of the blood vessel, cardiac dysrhythmias, and deficiency can cause beriberi, muscular weakness, and enlarged heart. Vitamin B2 or riboflavin, stable to heat, acid, and oxidation, destroyed by bases and ultraviolet light. Function, part of enzyme and coenzymes such as FAD, required for oxidations of glucose and fatty acid and for cellular growth. Source, meat, dairy product, leafy greens, vegetables, whole grain cereal, 1.3 milligram per day. Excess unknown. Deficiency can cause dermatitis or blurred vision. Niacin or vitamin B3, stable to heat, acid, and bases, converted into niacinamide by cell, synthesized from tryptophan. This is part of the coenzyme NAD and NADP required for oxidation of glucose and synthesis of proteins, fat, and nucleic acid. Source, usually a lot in liver, lean meat, peanut butter, legumes, 14 milligram for female and 16 milligram for males per day. Excess of vitamin B3 can cause flushing, vasodilation, wheezing, liver problem. Deficiency can cause pellagra, dermatitis, diarrhea, mental disorder. Vitamin B5 or pantothenic acid, destroyed by heat, acid, and bases, part of the coenzyme A required for oxidation of carbohydrate and fat. Source in meat, whole grain cereals, legumes, milk, fruit, and vegetables. About 5 milligram per day. Excess unknown. Deficiency can cause loss of appetite, mental depression, and muscle spasm. Vitamin B6, group of 3 compounds stable to heat and acid, destroyed by oxidation, bases, and ultraviolet light. Function as a coenzyme required for synthesis of protein and various amino acids, for conversion of tryptophan to niacin, for production of antibodies, and for nucleic acid synthesis. Source usually in liver, meat, banana, avocado, beans, peanuts, whole grain cereal, egg yolk. Around 1.3 milligram per day or 1.7 milligram per day for older people. Excess of vitamin B6 can cause numbness, clumsiness, and paralysis. Deficiency can cause convulsions, vomiting, and supuria lesions. Okay, the next one is vitamin B7 or biotin, stable to heat, acid, and light, destroyed by oxidation and bases. Function as a coenzyme required for metabolism of amino acid and fatty acid and for nucleic acid synthesis. Source, usually a lot in liver, egg yolk, nuts, legumes, and mushroom, 0.3 only milligram per day. Excess unknown. Deficiency could be causing elevated blood cholesterol, nausea, fatigue, and anorexia. Folacin or vitamin B9 or folic acid occurs in several forms, destroyed by oxidation in an acid environment or by heat in alkaline environment, stored in liver where it is converted into folinic acid. Function as a coenzyme required for metabolism of certain amino acids and for DNA synthesis, promotes productions of normal red blood cell. Source, liver, leafy green vegetables, whole grain cereal, legumes, about 0.4 milligram per day. Excess unknown. Deficiency, megaloblastic anemia. Cyanocobalamin or vitamin B12, complex cobalt-containing compound. So it has metal, cobalt, stable to heat, inactivated by light, strong acid, and strong bases. Absorption regulated by intrinsic factor from gastric gland, stored in liver. Function, part of coenzyme required for synthesis of nucleic acid and for metabolism of carbohydrate. Play role in myelin synthesis, required for normal red blood production. Source, liver, meat, milk, and cheese, and also eggs. 2.4 micrograms, so it's really small amounts needed for B12. Excess unknown. Deficiency, pernicious anemia. Okay, because this is related to red blood cell production. Ascorbic acid, so this is vitamin C, chemical similar to monosaccharide, stable in acid but destroyed by oxidation, heat, light, and bases. Required for collagen production, conversion of collagen to folinic acid, and metabolism of certain amino acid, promotes absorption of iron and synthesis of hormone and cholesterol from cholesterol. Source usually citrus fruit, tomatoes, leafy green vegetable, about 75 milligram per day for female or 90 milligram per day for males. Excess can cause exacerbates gout and kidney stone formation. Deficiency can cause scurvy, low resistance to infection, and wounds heal slowly. Okay, so those are the vitamin, which is organic molecules. Now, the inorganic molecules, which is minerals. So mineral is inorganic molecule, and this is usually taken from the environment, like from soil, for example, or maybe also in part of plant animal, they also contain some minerals. So this is inorganic elements required in metabolism. Okay, so usually extracted from soil by plants. So plant absorb a lot of these minerals and then obtained from plant food and animal that have eaten the plant. Now the characteristic of minerals make up about 4% of body weight, are most concentrated in the bones, okay, like calcium and teeth, okay, calcium, phosphorus, usually incorporated into organic molecules such as irons in hemoglobin, and iron is the one that carry oxygen. Some exist as a part of inorganic compounds like calcium phosphate. Some are free ions in the blood like sodium ion, chloride ions, potassium ions, composed part of the structural material of all cells, have roles in muscle contraction like calcium, nerve impulse, calcium also used for this nerve impulse, blood coagulation like potassium ions, pH regulation. Homeostatic mechanism regulate the concentration of minerals in body fluid. Mineral toxicity can result from ingestions of too much of mineral or from overexposure to industrial pollutants, household chemical, and certain drugs. Okay, mineral can be divided into two types, major minerals and minor minerals. The major minerals are the minerals that is required in highest amounts, about 0.05% of or more of the body weight. The first one is calcium. So this is the first major minerals. We use a lot of calcium for muscle contraction, for nerve impulse, and many other processes in our body. Phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, and magnesium. So these are the 7 major minerals that needed by our body. Calcium and phosphorus account for nearly 75% of these minerals in our body. Okay, we're gonna see one by one. Calcium, mostly in the inorganic salt of bones and teeth. Function is structure of bone and teeth, essential for neurotransmitter release, muscle fiber contraction, the cardiac action potential, and blood coagulation, activate certain enzymes. Source, milk, milk product, leafy green vegetable. Required about 1,000 milligram per day, or 1,200 milligram per day for older people. Excess can cause kidney stone, deposition of calcium phosphate in soft tissue, deficiency, stunted growth, misshapen bone, fragile bone, and muscle tetany. The phosphorus mostly in the inorganic salt of bones and teeth. This is structure of bones and teeth, component of nearly all metabolic reactions in nucleic acid, many proteins, some enzyme, and some vitamin, in cell membranes, ATP, and phosphate of body fluid. Source: meat, cheese, nuts, whole grain cereal, milk, and legumes, needed around 700 milligrams per day. Excess unknown. Deficiency can cause stunted growth. Potassium, widely distributed, tend to be concentrated inside the cell. Help maintain intracellular osmotic pressure and regulate pH, required for impulse conduction in neuron. Source: avocado, dried apricots, meat, peanut butter, potatoes, bananas, about 4,700 milligrams per day. Excess uncommon. Deficiency, muscular weakness, cardiac abnormality, and edema. Sulfur, widely distributed, abundant in skin, hair, and nails. Essential part of certain amino acids, thiamine, insulin, biotin, and mucopolysaccharides. Source: meat, milk, eggs, legumes. There is no recommended daily intake for sulfur. Excess unknown. Deficiency also unknown. Sodium, widely distributed, mostly in extracellular fluid and bound to inorganic salts of bone. Function: help maintain osmotic pressure of extracellular fluid, regulates water movement, plays a role in impulse conduction in neuron, regulates pH, and transport of substances across cell membrane. Sources: table salt, cured ham, sauerkraut, and cheese, about 2,300 milligrams per day. Excess might cause hypertension, edema, body cell shrink. Deficiency can cause nausea, cramps, and convulsions. Chlorine, closely associated with sodium, most highly concentrated in cerebrospinal fluid and gastric juice. Function: help maintain osmotic pressure of extracellular fluids, regulates pH, maintains electrolyte balance, form hydrochloric acid, acid transport of carbon dioxide by red blood cell. Source: same as for sodium, which is table salt, cured ham, sauerkraut, cheese. There is no recommended daily allowance. Excess can cause vomiting. Deficiency can cause cramps. Magnesium, abundance in bone, required in metabolic reaction in mitochondria that produce ATP, plays a role in breakdown of ATP to ADP. Source: milk, dairy products, legumes, nuts, leafy greens, vegetables. RDA around 310 to 420 milligrams per day. Excess can cause diarrhea. Deficiency can cause neuromuscular disturbances. Now the minor element or the trace mineral. Okay, the trace element, also known as a micro minerals. Essential mineral found in very minute amounts each make up less than 0.005% of body weight. Trace elements include iron, manganese, copper, iodine, cobalt, zinc, fluorine, selenium, chromium. Now the functions and also the source for this minor or micro mineral. Irons, primarily in blood, so this is part of the hemoglobin, stored in liver, spleen, and bone marrow. This is part of hemoglobin molecules, assist in vitamin A synthesis, incorporated into a number of enzymes. Source, liver, lean meat, dried apricot, resin, enriched whole grain cereal, legumes, and molasses. 10 to 18 milligram per day. This is the recommended daily allowance. Excess can cause liver damage. Deficiency can cause anemia. Manganese, most concentrated in liver, kidneys, and pancreas. Part of enzyme required for fatty acid and cholesterol synthesis, urea formation, and normal functioning of the nervous system. Source, nuts, legumes, whole grain cereal, leafy green vegetable, and fruit, about 2.5 to 5 milligram per day. The excess unknown, deficiency also unknown. Copper, most highly concentrated in liver, heart, and brain, essential for hemoglobin synthesis, bone development, melanin production, and myelin formation. Source, liver, oyster, crab meat, nut, whole grain cereal, and legume, 0.9 to 3 milligram per day. Excess rare, and deficiency of this copper also rare. Iodine, concentrated in thyroid gland, essential component for synthesis of thyroid hormone. Source, food content varies with soil contents in different geographic regions. The stable salt, 0.15 milligram per day, recommended daily allowance. Excess can cause autoimmune thyroid disease. Deficiency can cause decreased synthesis of thyroid hormone. Cobalt, widely distributed. Function, components of cyanocobalamin required for synthesis of several enzymes. Source, liver, lean meat, and milk. There is no recommended daily allowance. Excess heart disease, deficiency, pernicious anemia. Zinc, most concentrated in liver, kidneys, and brain. Function, component of enzyme involved in digestion, respiration, bone metabolism, liver metabolism, necessary for normal wound healing and maintaining integrity of the skin. Source, meat, cereal, legumes, nuts, and vegetables, 11 to 15 milligram per day. Excess, slurred speech, problem walking. Deficiency, depressed immunity, loss of taste and smell, learning difficulties. Fluorine, primarily in bones and teeth, component of tooth enamel. Source, fluoridated water, 1.5 to 4 milligram per day. Excess can cause motlets teeth, deficiency unknown. Selenium, concentrated in liver and kidney, component of certain enzyme. Source, lean meat, cereal, onion, 0.05 to 0.07 milligram per day. Excess can cause vomiting and fatigue, deficiency unknown. Chromium, widely distributed, essential for use of carbohydrates. Source, liver, lean meat, and yeast, 0.05 to 2 milligram per day. Excess unknown, deficiency also unknown. Now this is clinical applications. So this is the one that we learned. Okay, so about dietary supplement. Sometimes we need it, but we have to proceed with caution. Dietary supplements are not classified as either food or drug. May contain ingredients that function like pharmaceutical in the body, may be toxic if taken in excess. Supplements are regulated by law and must contain a vitamin, mineral, herbs, botanical, and etc., and must be intended to supplement the diet. Product labels cannot state that the supplements diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease. They can only state facts that are supported by evidence, such as the fact that calcium decrease risk of osteoporosis. Some supplements might have little value, such as those that supply chemicals that are produced in sufficient quantity in the body. Some can be dangerous because of their interaction with certain other drugs the person might be taking. FDA does not require clinical trials to prove that supplements are safe and effective. So this is some information about dietary supplements. I think that's all for part 2. We're gonna see you again on the last part, which is part 3. Goodbye now. Hi everyone, this is the last part of nutrition and metabolisms. We're gonna discuss about healthy eating and aging. Healthy eating. An adequate diet provides sufficient energy in the form of calories, essential fatty acids, essential amino acids, vitamins, and minerals to support optimal growth and maintain and repair body tissue. So remember, these essentials, fatty acids, amino acids, vitamins, they have to be taken from outside, from the diet. The rest can be made inside our body. Like vitamin D, for example, it is also made by our kidney. Okay, most of the amino acids, so 12 type of amino acids, can be made also by our body, especially in the liver. But 8 of them has to be provided from our diet. So this is what we call the essential, okay, the nutrient that has to be provided from our diet. Requirements vary with age, sex, growth rate, level of physical activity and stress, and genetic and also environmental factors. If food supply is adequate, most healthy people obtain proper nourishment by eating a variety of food and limiting intake of fat. Dietary requirements such as recommended daily allowance or RDA are best to follow. Food pyramids can offer suggestions for following a healthy diet by organizing food into suggested proportion. The USDA's MyPlate now replace the past food pyramid. Nutritional information as well as ingredients are listed on most grocery items for retail sale. Okay, this is new type of food suggestions. It's called the MyPlate, developed by USDA, and this MyPlate replaced the food pyramid. And as you see over here, the balanced diet, it has to be taken from like mostly vegetables. Okay? This is the source for many nutrients like carbohydrates, vitamin, and some minerals. Fruit, okay, mostly supply many vitamins, grains. This is mostly carbohydrates, proteins, okay, is supply for many amino acids, essential amino acids, for example. Dairy products, it can supply some of calcium, okay, minerals, vitamins, and also some essential fatty acids. So these are the balanced food that is developed by USDA. There is a type of people that eat veggie. It's called the vegetarian diet. There are several types of vegetarian diets actually. The first type is called vegan. Vegans, it is the one that do not eat any animal food product. Okay, so just vegetable products. Ovo-vegetarian, so there are several types of vegetarian over here. The first one is called the ovo-vegetarian. They do not eat dairy or meat product, but they eat ovo, which is egg. So eggs allowed in this type of vegetarian. Lacto-vegetarian, this is the one that allow the dairy product, okay, milk, for example, but no eggs or meat. The lacto-ovo-vegetarian, the dairy and eggs are allowed, so they also milk, eggs, but they do not eat meat, so no meat. Pesco-vegetarian, dairy, eggs, and fish are allowed, but no other meat product. Semi-vegetarians, dairy, eggs, they also eat chicken and fish, but no other meat product. So mostly they eat what we call the white meat product for the semi-vegetarian. Clinical applications for nutrition and athlete. Athlete and sedentary people have different nutritional requirements. So athlete is the one that is most active, so they have to take a lot of nutrients, while the sedentary people is a group of people that do not active. So these people that, you know, is not very active on their life. So between these two type of people, athletes and sedentary people, they have different nutritional requirements. Frequent strenuous activity can be supported by a diet consisting of 60% carbohydrate, 18% protein, and 22% fat. So this is for most athletes. Athletes should eat most carbohydrate from vegetable and grains and eat frequently. Athletes should eat 25% more protein than sedentary people. Athletes should drink a lot of water to counteract effects of sweating. If following a balanced diet, athletes should not need vitamin or mineral supplements. The creatine supplement, sometimes used by some athletes, do not seem to improve athletic performance, except maybe during peak exertion, when natural creatine phosphate may become depleted. Seem to make muscle cell enlarge. So this is maybe the side effects of creatine supplement, but this is due to osmosis of water into the muscle. So the muscle is become bigger, not because of the proteins, but because of water, not increase in size of the muscle cell. Malnutrition. It is a poor nutrition that results from a lack of essential nutrients or inability to use them. Undernutrition. Okay, so malnutrition can be divided into undernutrition, which is type of malnutrition resulting from deficiency of essential nutrients. overnutrition. This is a type of malnutrition resulting from excess of nutrient intake. Causes of malnutrition: lack of food availability, poor quality of food, overeating, or taking too many supplements. Classification of malnutrition: primary malnutrition. This is malnutrition from diet alone. Secondary malnutrition, it is adequate diet, but individual characteristics make the diet insufficient, such as a person with a deficiency of bile salts developing a deficiency of fat-soluble vitamin. Because remember, bile salt is needed to increase the absorption of fat-soluble vitamin like A, D, E, and K. Now, what about the starvation? A healthy human can survive 50 to 7 days without food. Okay, during starvation, the body will begin to digest itself. Symptoms include low blood pressure, low pulse, chills, dry skin, hair loss, and poor immunity. Common nutritional or starvation disorders. Example is marasmus due to lack of calories and protein, kwashiorkor, protein starvation, anorexia nervosa. This is a psychological disorder, which is eating disorder, self-starvation, and bulimia, which is eating disorder, binge, and purge cycle. So they eat, after they eat, they try to vomit what they eat. So this is the bulimia. Lifespan changes. Dietary requirements remain about the same throughout life. Basal metabolic rate, or BMR, rises in early childhood, peaks in adolescence, and decline in adulthood. Change in nutrition often reflects the effects of medical condition and social and economic circumstances, like depression, tooth decay, periodontal disease, diabetes mellitus. Deficiency of vitamin A might take a long time to show up. So sometimes kids that have deficiency vitamin A during their childhood, they have problems when they grow up to adulthood. So they are unable to see on low light condition, for example. Calcium deficiency might not show symptoms as bone lose mineral content. So usually, again, calcium deficiency also present after older age. Vitamin D deficiency might develop in absence of sun exposure. Okay, this is energy requirement, different age group, 23 to 50 years old. For female, require about 2,000 calories per day. For male, it's about 2,700 calories per day. Okay, through 2,700 calories per day. 51 to 74 of age. For female, about 1,800. Male, about 2,400 calories per day. Above 75 years old, the female requirement is about 1,600. For male, about 2,050 calories per day. That's all for nutrition and metabolism. Goodbye.